Good afternoon. I am Stephen Weisberg, a member of the Holocaust Memorial Center, Zeckelman Family Campus Board of Directors. Some of you may know my wife, Lori, who is a docent at the HMC, and some may have known my parents, Henrietta and Alvin, of blessed memory. My mother, Henrietta, died just 2 years ago on Yom HaShoah. She survived the Holocaust with her sister Rachel, who now lives in California. The two of them went from the Warsaw Ghetto to Majdanek, to a slave labor camp, to Buchenwald, and then on a death march where they were liberated by the Russian army at the Elbe River. My mother's parents and two brothers were murdered shortly after the liquidation of the Warsaw Ghetto in 1943. My parents were great supporters of the HMC because they believed in its mission to teach future generations the lessons from those darkest of days. These past weeks have been very difficult for our community, our state, our country, and the entire world in dealing with the challenges of coronavirus. And yet we've seen great acts of kindness and courage. I want to wish all of you strength in dealing with these challenges, and I want to thank you for joining us for this important commemoration. Today, Yom HaShoah, we remember the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust, and we recognize the great acts of heroism of those who fought the Nazi perpetrators. I would like to especially welcome today the survivors and their families who join us. We are honored to be in your company. I also want to welcome Rabbi Yonatan Dallin and Chazan David Propus from Congregation Shaare Tzedek, who will lead us in this commemoration. And I also want to thank and acknowledge all of the people who support the HMC who made today's program possible. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Stephen Grant, Chairman of the Holocaust Memorial Center Board of Directors. Thank you, Steve, for your beautiful and very personal introduction. On Yom HaShoah, we commit ourselves to one simple act, Yizkor, to remember. This year, we ask all of you to remember those we have lost and those who have no one to remember them. And now I would like to invite Chazan David Propus to lead us in a Mishaberach, a prayer or a blessing of healing. This is for all of us and for our loved ones who are struggling with physical, emotional, or spiritual challenges. We pray together for compassion and strength. Following the Mishaberach, the Chazan will sing, We Remember Them.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. At the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember them. We will remember them. At the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. We remember them. At the beginning of the year, and when it ends, we will remember them. We will remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember them. When we are lost and are sick of heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. We remember them. As long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. We remember them.
I'm Rabbi Yoni Dahlin from Congregation Shaarei Tzedek. Throughout the history of our existence, we humans have been presented with challenges, with uncertainty, and with fear. And though the story of physical survival has repeatedly been the narrative that has won the day, there is also a pattern of an untold truth that I think deserves some thought, and more importantly, deserves some fixing. What this current situation, this virus that is keeping us from physically being together today, reminds us is that we have a tendency to fight our most painful battles primarily and sometimes solely with our heads. In the face of the unimaginable, we, for some reason, rely on the most imaginable. As we see clearly each and every day in the briefings from our local and national leaders, we prefer to look at charts and numbers, bits of data and historical parallels if they exist. And then we pretend that with all of these facts, with all of these statistics, that we have sturdier footing and a more thoughtful way of comprehending that which sometimes is just not meant to be comprehended. This year, we honor, with a number, one of those moments that is just not meant to be comprehended. It's been 75 years. 75 years since the liberation of the camps. 75 is a number, but it is so much more than that. Because for some of you, 75 years ago was yesterday. And for others of you, 75 might as well be a million. What we have learned from 75 years of data, of documentaries, of countless books, and even programs of study in universities around the world is that while all of this information can help educate us, inform us, and, please God, obligate us to prevent tragedy of this magnitude from ever happening again, there is only one piece of data that is actually capable of speaking with a truth and honesty that can touch the surrealist horror of the Shoah. And that truth is you. It's your story. It's your memory. And it's every part of every day of a life that has defied an expectation of despair. It is that defiance that transcends the planes of charts and graphs, of numbers and figures, and reaches to something that is true in the purest sense of the word. What's true after 75 years is that the heart of the Jewish people continues to beat with strength and conviction and with a firmer resolve to celebrate who we are and where we come from than at any point in time in our history. What's true after 75 years is that the greatest hate the world has ever seen couldn't snuff out a nation built on a promise of love and hope, and that hate can never make us abandon our mission to fill this world with light. What's true after 75 years is that the names of mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers now belong to children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and they will be passed down Lador Vador for generations to come. And what's true after 75 years is that we have not, we cannot, and we will not ever forget. What's true is that we remember. And what we remember are not numbers and figures necessarily. What we remember are your words, your eyes, and your tears. We remember your accent, your songs and your poems, your hugs, your smiles, and the way you hold our hands with a tight and warm grip that tells us everything we need to know about then, about now, and about tomorrow. We remember you because you are our truth. And our truth sings from the heart, from a place where numbers and statistics just can't go. So I think we can take this opportunity, even though we're physically apart, to come closer through that different kind of truth, and to celebrate it for everything it gives us. And so we say now to our teachers, our reminders, our rocks and our light, to our survivors and their families, to our liberators and their families, to our roots, to our continuity, to our sacred defiance. Thank you. May you and everyone whose lives you touch be blessed now and always, with peace, with goodness, with hope, and with truth.
The Butterfly was written by Pavel Friedman on June 4th, 1942, during his imprisonment at the Terezin ghetto. On September 29th, 1944, Friedman was deported to Auschwitz, where he perished. The poem, written on a thin piece of copy paper, was discovered after the liberation of Czechoslovakia. The original lives on in the Jewish Museum in Prague. The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against a white stone. Such a yellow is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, penned up inside this ghetto. But I have found my people here. The dandelions called to me, and the white chestnut candles in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live in here, in the ghetto.
The Partisans song, also known as Hymn of the Partisans, is considered one of the main Yiddish anthems of the Holocaust. It was written by Hirsch Glick in 1943. He was a young Jew in the Vilna ghetto. During World War II, the song was sung by Jewish resistance fighters. It was a symbol of resistance for the Jews in their fight against the Nazis. It originally was sung in the ghettos later by Holocaust survivors, and has become a standard at Holocaust services around the world. Now, in honor of the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the camps, please join Hazan Propus in singing the Partisan Song.
Sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst dem letzten Weg, wenn Himmeln bleien, verstellen bläue Tag, weil kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Show, es wird abheut und unser Trott mir seinen do, weil kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Show, es wird abheut und unser Trott mir seinen do, von Bremen, Palmenland bis weiten Land von Schnee, wir seien do mit unser Pein, mit unser Weh, und wo gefallen sich das Spritz von unser Blut, wird das sprotzt und unser Bure, unser Blut, und wo gefallen sich das Spritz von unser Blut, wird das sprotzt und unser Bure, unser Blut. Alda tomari neidartia achrona, et or hayom histiru shmeya anana, ze yom nichsachnu lo oya alve yavo, umitzadeinu od yarim anachnu po, ze yom nichsachnu lo oya alve yavo, umitzadeinu od yarim anachnu po. Come what may, you mustn't say this is the end, even though we walk alone without a friend. For the day that we all dreamed about is near, when we'll shout to all the world we still are here. For the day that we all dreamed about is near, when we'll shout to all the world we still are here. Der Fahrer so keinmal, als du gehst dem letzten Weg, wenn Himmeln bleien, verstellen bläue Tag, weil kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Show, es wird ab heut und unser Trott mir seinen do, weil kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Show, es wird ab heut und unser Trott mir seinen do.
The following poem is by Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, translated from Hebrew by Chana Block and Chana Kronfeld. After Auschwitz. After Auschwitz, no theology. From the chimney of the Vatican, white smoke rises, a sign the cardinals have chosen themselves a pope. From the crematoria of Auschwitz, black smoke rises, a sign the conclave of gods has not yet chosen the chosen people. After Auschwitz, no theology. The numbers on the forearms of the inmates of extermination are the telephone numbers of God, numbers that do not answer and now are disconnected one by one. After Auschwitz, a new theology. The Jews who died in the Shoah have now come to be like their God, who has no likeness of a body, who has no body. They have no likeness of a body and have no body.
El malei rachamim shochein b'meromim hamtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina b'malot kedoshim kedoshim uteharim kezor harakia mazhirim et nishmot kol achaynu b'nei Yisrael שנטבחו לשואה, אנשים, נשים וטף, שנהרגו ושנשרפו, ושנטבחו ושנחנקו, על קידוש השם. על ידי הצוררים הנאצים יימח שמם וישרם. בעבור שבלי נדר תן צדקה ביד הזכרת נשמותיהם. בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתם. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותיהם בשלום. ונאמר אמן.
One of our greatest acts of defiance is the ability to say the words of Kaddish, of the mourner's Kaddish. It is an ancient prayer, and a prayer that says that despite grief, despite sorrow, we still praise God. We still praise the fact that we are here with one another. We praise the fact that we continue on. Please join me in the words of Kaddish of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, Be'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich machutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach leolam ulmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekrusha b'richu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen.
I'm Alan Zeckelman, member of the Board of Directors. Before we conclude today's commemoration, I have some closing remarks. On behalf of the Holocaust Memorial Center, I want to thank all of you watching this program. Thank you to the survivors and their families, our docents, volunteers, and staff. A special thank you to the Yom HaShoah program supporters and our museum members whose financial support made this commemoration possible. Thank you to Rabbi Yoni Dahlin, Chazan David Propis, Stephen Weisberg, and Stephen Grant for leading today's commemoration, and to Stuart Shevin for his production assistance. Your participation under these challenging circumstances is truly appreciated. I ask each of you to recommit to supporting the Holocaust Memorial Center in its mission to engage, educate, and empower by remembering the Holocaust. With each new generation, the memory of the Holocaust becomes more distant. It is our moral obligation to remember. I now invite each of you to kindle a yahrzeit candle in your own homes to remember the millions of victims who died during the Shoah. Thank you for joining us, and God willing, may we all be together for next year's commemoration.